As we continue in Genesis chapter 1, we now arrive at one of the most important moments in the entire Bible, because everything that has been happening up to this point has been leading to this. And what happens here will shape how we understand ourselves, our purpose, our value, and our relationship with God for the rest of Scripture. Up to now, God has been forming and filling the world with order, beauty, and life, creating light, sky, land, plants, the sun, the moon, the stars, the fish of the sea, and the birds of the air. And each time he speaks, creation responds. And each time he sees what he has made, he calls it good. But now something changes. Genesis 1:24 says, "And God said, Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, and creeping things, and beasts of the earth according to their kinds. And it was so." And once again, we see the pattern of God speaking and creation responding. But this time, the focus moves toward land animals, completing the filling of the earth itself. Animals now walk on the ground. Creatures move across the land. Life fills the earth in every direction. And just like before, everything is created according to its kind, which again shows order, structure, and design, not randomness or confusion. Verse 25 continues, "And God made the beasts of the earth according to their kinds, and the livestock according to their kinds, and everything that creeps on the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good." So once again, God looks at creation, and he calls it good. But now we are about to see something that has not happened before, something different, something greater. Verse 26 says, "Then God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." This is a turning point. Before this moment, God has simply said, "Let there be. Let there be light. Let there be sky. Let the waters gather. Let the earth bring forth life." But now, when it comes to human beings, God does not speak in the same simple command. Instead, there is a pause. There is intention. There is a deeper statement. Let us make. This shows us that humanity is not just another part of creation. Human beings are different. Human beings are special. Human beings are created in the image of God. Now, what does that mean? It does not mean we look like God physically. God is not limited to a human body. But being made in the image of God means we reflect him in a unique way. We have the ability to think, to reason, to create, to choose, to love, to speak, to know right from wrong, and to have a relationship with God. No other part of creation is described this way. The animals are not made in God's image. The stars are not made in God's image. The oceans are not made in God's image. Only human beings are. That gives human life value, not because of what we do, not because of what we own, not because of how successful we are, but because of who made us. Verse 26 continues, "And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth." This means that humans are given responsibility. We are not just part of creation, we are placed over creation as stewards. Not as owners, but as caretakers under God's authority. This is important. Human power is not meant for control without responsibility. It is meant for stewardship, taking care of what God has made, reflecting God's character in how we rule and lead. Verse 27 then says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them." This verse is repeated in a poetic way to emphasize its importance. Human beings are made in the image of God. Male and female, both carry that image. Both have value. Both are part of God's design. This means no human life is without worth. No person is less important. No person is outside of God's purpose. From the very beginning, the Bible teaches the dignity of every human being. Then verse 28 says, "And God blessed them, and God said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it." Now we see something familiar. God gives the same kind of blessing he gave to the creatures before. Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth. But now it is given to humans with greater responsibility. Humans are not just multiply, they are also called to subdue the earth, which means to develop it, manage it, and bring order to it under God's authority. This is the beginning of human purpose. Work is not a curse. Work existed before sin. Humans were created to build, create, organize, and care for the world. Verse 29 continues, "And God said, Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food." God provides for humanity. Before humans even ask, God gives. Food is already prepared. Provision is already in place. God does not create humans and then leave them to struggle. He creates them and provides for them. Verse 30 shows that animals also receive provision. God gives food to all living creatures. This shows us that God cares for all life, not just human life. Then verse 31 closes the chapter with something powerful. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Before, God called things good. Now, after creating humanity, he calls everything very good. This is the completed picture. Creation is full. Creation is ordered. Creation is alive. Creation reflects God's goodness. And then we read, "And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day." Now let's pause and ask the question we always ask. What does this show us about God? It shows us that God is intentional. He creates humanity with care and purpose. It shows us that God gives value. Human worth comes from being made in his image. It shows us that God gives responsibility. We are called to steward creation. It shows us that God provides. He meets needs before we even ask. And it shows us that God delights in what he has made. Now, what does this show us about us? It shows us that we are not accidents. We are created. It shows us that we have value, not because of what we achieve, but because we are made in God's image. It shows us that we have purpose. We are meant to live, grow, build, and reflect God. It shows us that we are accountable. We are not owners of the world. We are stewards under God. And maybe this is the most important part, because many people today are searching for identity. They ask, "Who am I?" They look for answers in success, relationships, culture, or feelings. But Genesis answers the question clearly. You are made in the image of God. That is your identity. Not what people say, not what the world says, not what you feel in the moment, what God says. And if you are made in God's image, then your life has meaning. Your life has value. Your life has purpose. Even before you do anything, you matter. But there is also something we must remember. Genesis 1 shows us the world before sin. Everything is good. Everything is right. Everything is in order. But that will not stay the same. In the next chapter, we will see more detail about humanity. And soon after that, we will see the fall. Sin will enter. Everything will be affected. But for now, Genesis shows us the original design, the way things were meant to be. And understanding that helps us understand everything that comes later, because the rest of the Bible is the story of how God deals with what went wrong. So today, remember this: you are not random. You are not without value. You are not without purpose. You are made in the image of God, and that changes everything.